Welcome to Once Upon English.
Dreams and Shadows. Imagine Paris in the late 19th century, a city of narrow cobblestone streets, flickering gas lamps, and whispers of wealth and elegance. The scent of fresh bread mingles with the distant clatter of horse-drawn carriages. But not every corner of Paris shines with luxury. In a small, modest apartment, the heart of our story beats quietly, yearning for grandeur. Here lives Mathilde Loisel. At 24, she is young, delicate, and undeniably beautiful. Yet her spirit is restless. She was born with a hunger, not for food, nor for comfort, but for a life of elegance and admiration. Every morning she awakens in a simple room. Faded wallpaper, a tiny bed, and the faint smell of coal from the stove. Outside, the city bustles, yet she feels invisible, unnoticed, ordinary. Her husband, Monsieur Loisel, is a humble clerk, devoted and loving, though simple in his ways. He brings home modest wages, enough to keep them comfortable, but unable to satisfy the grand dreams that dance in Mathilde's heart. She watches women in the streets, draped in silk and lace, adorned with jewels that sparkle like captured stars. She imagines herself among them, walking tall, admired, envied, a queen in a world that has forgotten her name. One ordinary morning, a letter arrives, a golden envelope, embossed and elegant. Mathilde trembles as she opens it, an invitation to a ball at the ministry, one of the most important social events of the season. Her heart flutters like a bird trapped in her chest. This is her chance. The chance to step into a life she has always dreamed of, to feel the sparkle of society brushing against her soul. But reality strikes immediately. She opens her wardrobe, a collection of plain dresses, humble fabrics, muted colors. Nothing suitable for the grandeur she envisions. Tears prick her eyes. She looks at her husband, who offers with gentle hope, "I will buy you a dress, my dear." "You will be beautiful." Mathilde shakes her head. Modesty cannot satisfy her tonight. She needs splendor, jewels, luxury. The world must see her as she has always imagined herself. And then she remembers her friend, Madame Forestier, a woman of elegance and wealth. Perhaps, just perhaps, she could borrow a necklace, a glittering piece that would transform her appearance, elevate her presence, and let her shine like the stars she longs to reach. The decision is made. Mathilde's pulse quickens. Her future, her dream, her illusion of perfection rests upon a borrowed piece of jewelry, a small item, yet heavier than gold in the power it holds. As she prepares for the ball, every detail matters. The brush of her hair, the curve of her dress, the delicate steps she takes. Paris outside glows under gas lamps, yet nothing compares to the radiance Mathilde imagines for herself tonight. She walks the streets, a borrowed jewel glinting around her neck, poised, confident, and radiant, though only for a few fleeting hours. Little does she know this single choice. Borrowing that necklace will set the stage for years of hardship, sacrifice, and revelation, a lesson wrapped in irony and life's harsh truth. The night of illusion, The night had fallen over Paris like a velvet cloak, and the city shimmered under the soft glow of gas lamps. Every street seemed alive with whispers of elegance and laughter. Carriages rolled past, their wheels clattering over cobblestones, while ladies in flowing gowns and gentlemen in polished shoes hurried to the grand ball at the ministry. Mathilde Loisel, dressed in the borrowed gown and the sparkling necklace, stepped into the street with her husband. Her heart raced. For the first time in her life, she felt seen, admired, and, most importantly, beautiful. Every eye she imagined would turn toward her in awe. The ministry's hall was a vision of grandeur. Chandeliers hung like captured constellations, casting a warm glow over marble floors. The air buzzed with laughter, music, and the clink of crystal glasses. Gentlemen whispered to one another, and ladies exchanged glances, some curious, some envious. Matilda's pulse quickened. This was the world she had always dreamed of, and tonight she belonged to it. She danced, laughed, and mingled, letting the borrowed sparkle of the necklace guide her confidence. Every smile she received felt like fuel to her soul. The illusion of wealth, elegance, and admiration wrapped around her like a warm cloak. Monsieur Loisel watched proudly, unaware of the storm quietly building in his wife's mind. Yet, amidst the glitter and glamour, a small voice of anxiety lingered in Matilda's heart. What if something happens to the necklace? What if it is lost? But she silenced it, choosing instead to immerse herself in the fantasy, savoring every twirl and whispered compliment. Hours passed, and the night seemed to stretch endlessly, a dream woven with music, dancing, and admiration. Matilda's senses were alight. The soft rustle of silk, the delicate aroma of perfume, the sparkle of jewels reflecting chandeliers like captured stars. She felt alive, powerful, and utterly radiant. Then came the moment when reality crept back. A subtle, chilling realization as the last waltz ended and guests began to depart. Matilda, adjusting her cloak, realized with sudden terror the necklace was gone. Her blood ran cold. She searched frantically through every fold of her gown, her cloak, her pockets. Nothing. The sparkling illusion had vanished. The symbol of her dreams, borrowed, delicate, and deceptive, was no longer around her neck. Monsieur Loisel tried to calm her. Perhaps it fell somewhere, he suggested cautiously. But Matilda knew. She had lost more than a piece of jewelry. She had lost a part of her dream, a bridge to the life she had imagined. The days that followed were filled with frantic, searching, anxiety, and silent despair. Every corner of Paris was scrutinized, every acquaintance questioned politely. But the necklace had vanished into the shadows of the city, leaving fear, guilt, and a sense of impending doom in its place. Matilda's mind became consumed with worry. How could she replace the necklace? How could she face Madame Forestier? And above all, what would become of her life, now bound by the weight of a single glittering mistake? The price of vanity. The days following the ball became an unending nightmare for Matilda and her husband. Every corner of Paris was searched, every acquaintance questioned politely, yet the necklace had vanished without a trace. Fear, guilt, and despair settled like a heavy fog over their modest apartment. Monsieur Loisel, devoted and patient, suggested a solution. They must replace the necklace. They went to jewelers, examined countless pieces, and finally purchased one identical to the lost treasure. But the cost was staggering. All their savings, every coin, every comfort they had built together evaporated. From that day, Mathilde's life changed forever. The pampered young woman, who had dreamed of luxury and admiration, was now plunged into a world of endless toil and hardship. She rose before dawn to mend clothes, sweep floors, cook, and work ceaselessly to repay the enormous debt. Every day was a battle. Every coin counted, and every sacrifice felt heavier than the last. The years passed with relentless weight. Mathilde's beauty faded under the strain of labor. Her delicate hands became rough and calloused. Her posture stooped, and her youthful elegance became a memory. Yet, Monsieur Loisel never complained, silently supporting her through each exhausting day. The harsh lesson of vanity, desire, and consequence was imprinted on Mathilde's every movement, thought, and breath. 10 long years later, the last debt was finally paid. Their apartment remained modest, their comforts gone, but freedom returned. Mathilde, older, wearied, and hardened by life, wandered the streets of Paris, memories of that fateful night haunting her steps, the ball, the borrowed necklace, and the illusions of grandeur that had led to a decade of suffering. By chance, she met her old friend, Madame Forestier. Trembling with a mix of courage and trepidation, Mathilde approached and recounted her story in full. The borrowed necklace, the loss, the years of toil, the sacrifices endured. She expected sympathy or consolation, perhaps a kind word of understanding. Madame Forestier listened, eyes widening in shock. Then she spoke softly, almost regretfully. "My dear Mathilde, that necklace, it was an imitation. Worthless, a mere trifle." Time seemed to stop. Mathilde felt her heart sink deeper than it had in all those 10 years. 10 years of suffering, struggle, and sacrifice, all for nothing but a borrowed illusion. Every ache, every sleepless night, every gray hair and wrinkle had been for a necklace that held no real value. Mathilde stood in stunned silence, the wind of Paris brushing her face. Reality and irony intertwined with devastating clarity. Pride, vanity, and desire for appearances can exact a price far heavier than gold, sometimes lasting an entire decade. And in that moment, the lesson was etched forever into her soul. Life had given Mathilde a harsh but unforgettable truth. Dreams of grandeur and the longing for wealth, when placed above honesty and gratitude, can lead to irreversible consequences. If you enjoyed this amazing story and saw how one night can change a person's life forever, make sure to hit the like button to give us motivation to create more incredible stories for you. Subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss the next part. And tell us in the comments which moment of the story shocked you the most. With your support, we can bring you even longer, more captivating stories that will keep you hooked from beginning to end.